Welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about something that I get a lot of questions about, and that's Mindsight. When I first learned Mindsight, I was taught in the way most people are: blindfold or mask, colored cards, quiet the mind, sense the information. Eventually, you see through the blindfold. And here's the truth: I believe the training was legitimate. I believed I was learning a non-visual perceptual skill because that's genuinely how it felt. And none of that was wrong. It was just incomplete. So Mindsight trainings do teach something real. They teach the first stepping stone, but not the whole phenomenon. And so over time, I started to notice why. So what most people don't realize is that many blindfold demonstrations rely on what magicians have known for decades. Your senses leak information. But here's the important part. That's not because you're cheating, but it's because blindfolds and materials almost always leave micro light leaks, airflow shifts, texture differences, sound cues, orientation cues, subtle vibration changes. And when you train repeatedly, your nervous system becomes excellent at picking up those micro signals. And in fact, if you watch me, when I'm training someone, I think Anna has published some things out there when I was teaching her how to do it. I actually focus a lot on feel the difference in the paper, listen to the difference in the paper, all of that kind of stuff. So I'm actually working on increasing those other senses. But it means when someone sees the color through the mask, they're not faking it, but they're using enhanced micro perception, which is not a mystical visual channel. This doesn't make Mindsight training bad. It just makes it step one. So at some point, something didn't add up for me. If this was really a non-visual perceptual skill, what happens if I remove every single cue? All right, so I went home and I made my own experiment. I got in a dark closet with the door shut. I put my blindfold on and I closed my eyes. So there was no airflow, no sound, no touch information, no light whatsoever. And I had my husband tape a geometric shape to the outside of the door, somewhere that I couldn't touch it, sense it. There were, I think, 5 or 6 shapes, so there was no cue at all. There was no sensory leakage. And for me, this was important that there was no performance pressure because I get anxious. So that was really good for me. And after a long period of quiet, and when I say long, I mean, I was probably in that closet for 45 minutes, okay? Something else happened. My nervous system generated something. So we would call this a predictive reconstruction. So it was a deep internal sense of the shape along with a fuzzy intuitive image. It's unpredictable. You can't just command it to happen. And it arises only when the noise drops. So think about like a meditative state. By the way, I got it right, in case you're wondering. I got the shape right, and I was able to get it right like 3 out of 4 times, which is pretty darn good. So, but this is not Mindsight as it's usually taught. It was something deeper. It was my nervous system modeling reality without any direct sensory input. So that is a genuine phenomenon, but one that only appears when this system is extremely quiet. So I'm kind of moving away from the blindfold narratives because I see that most online blindfold things are not pointing to this deeper capacity, even the ones that I've demonstrated. They're pointing to, using other tactile clues, sensory leakage, environmental feedback, even cognitive predictions. So it's not really deception, it's your physiology being really clever. And Mindsight trainings teach people how to tune these cues. That isn't wrong. It's just not the final skill. And I stepped away because the true phenomenon, I think, deserves a cleaner explanation. So I don't teach blindfold vision. I teach how bracing, that's holding your shoulders, neck, torso tightly, affects your perception, how predictive modeling, what I experienced in that closet, how that works in your brain, how your nervous system fills in gaps for you, how subtle sensory channels can interlock and bring that perception to light, how perception expands when the noise around you drops, and how your internal perception differs from cue-based. So the internal is what I experienced in that closet, and cue-based is what you're doing when you're looking through the mask. So this isn't magic, and it's not mystical, and it's not performative. It's actually human physiology when it's allowed to operate at full sensitivity. So why does this even freaking matter? Because people deserve honesty, nuance, grounded explanations, and no pressure to perform miracles, because real human perception is astonishing on its own. I say this all the time, but seriously, if you think I'm taking the magic out of it, I'm not. I'm putting the magic in. Real human physiology is freaking amazing, and there's more potential in us than we know and than has been studied. We don't need spectacle to believe that. So Mindsight trainings aren't fraudulent. They're simply introductory. So they help you lower noise, heighten attention, improve micro-sensing, build your confidence, start tuning your system. But the real phenomenon, the one worth studying, is what happens when you remove the cues entirely. So that's what I'm committed to exploring and teaching. And, come along with me, because this is a journey for me too. I'm not a guru about this. I'm learning as I go along, and you're invited. So if this resonates, and if you're curious about the physiology of perception, not the mythology of it, you're in the right place. And we'll explore all the things I mentioned and more. Thanks for being here.